And we will, of course, be discussing this very, very exciting detox program that one particular native chief is championing. And if it catches on and the weight loss is... Yes, I'm being flippant, I'm joking, but for goodness sake, it's political narcissism. You know it is. We've got to deal with native issues and native problems. They're absolutely valid, but many of the chiefs are partly, if not largely, to blame, and there are so many layers to this. We're asking questions at Sun News. Ezra Levant doing wonderful work about how much money has gone to this woman and how much money her partner, boyfriend is being given. We've told more than $800 a day, tax-free. More of that later. Let's begin with another subject, though. The truth about the Middle East is becoming increasingly obvious. Iran's obsession, literally bloody obsession with the Jewish genocide, Islam's hatred of Jews in Israel, and now even mainstream Palestinians revealing to the world, perhaps accidentally, they care not a bit for the West Bank or Gaza, but want all of the Holy Land, all of Israel, all of the Jewish state as their own. We'll discuss this further in a few moments with a special guest, but let me declare immediately where I stand, that while I will defend all of my beliefs, for goodness sake, that's why I have them, one of the ideas I am most proud of is Zionism. I'll say it again. It's not a dirty word, it's a sparkling, a wonderful word, Zionism. No apologies, no hiding, no doubts. Zionism is arguably the most successful example of the restoration of an indigenous people to their rightful homeland in human history. It is a liberation struggle, a story of the creation of a light on a hill, that light being the Jewish state in the Middle East. But look at the media coverage of the region. At a time when thousands of Arabs are being slaughtered by their own people, more than 60,000 now in Syria alone, we're told, racist zealots vomit their hatred of Israel in the civilized world. This is simply singling out for particular and peculiar venom the one Jewish nation in the entire world. These bigots attempt to equate the Jewish state, where all citizens, irrespective of religion, race, gender, sexuality, enjoy equality, to the hideously immoral, racist society that was apartheid South Africa. They try to silence the country's musicians, sportsmen, businessmen, everyone. They are haters. It's a lie, a blood libel, a politically motivated and blatantly dishonest campaign to use Soviet-style propaganda to condemn Jews. Look, Kurdistan, you heard of it? Kurdistan is occupied by 4 different Islamic nations. Morocco forcibly prevents hundreds of thousands of people who have the right to live in the country from entering. Most Arab countries reject black immigration and embrace passive, if not aggressive, racism. In the Gulf states and Pakistan in particular, slavery exists in the guise of servants being treated as virtual animals. In Lebanon, Palestinians are denied dozens of different occupations simply because of who they are. In Iran, homosexuals are publicly hanged and innocent women stoned to death. The secret police suppress freedoms in Syria and even relatively free Jordan. We have seen what Egypt and Libya are like, while other Arab countries little better and sometimes, frankly, much worse. Gay Palestinians forced to flee to Haifa and Tel Aviv to live openly and safely as gay people. Gender apartheid exists in massive chunks of the Arab and greater Islamic world, yet Israel is supremely open and progressive. And it goes on and it goes on. It's the sort of thing the haters don't want to hear. The new left and the new Islam are on the path to a new moral, political, and perhaps even physical genocide. There is also, of course, a peppering of Jews who go along with this madness. But you know what? There were black people who defended apartheid, Jews who aided in guarding the death camps. Zionism, the national movement of the Jewish people, has the support of the vast majority of the world's Jews. That a heated, hairy, horrendous handful like to play the contrarian is irrelevant. This is about Jew hatred and people of goodness and goodwill. Well, we just won't take it anymore. Old friend of mine, good friend, and always a wonderful guest, Frank Dimant, CEO, B'nai Brith, Canada. Pleasure to have you here, sir.
Thank you.
Now, you sent out a press release, and what you noticed was, well, you told the story. It was a map, really, wasn't it? A symbol, a logo.
It's the new logo of the Fatah, which is Abu Mazen's own party.
The good guys, apparently.
The good guys, what we call the moderates, not we, but some people certainly refer to them as the moderates. And it's the symbol of the movement. Very simple. All of Israel as a kafiyah, The quest is, we're going to get all of Israel. It's going to be an Arab, another Islamic entity in the Middle East. Bottom line, this is the man who's been pictured as the moderate, the person who wants to make a deal, and we better sit down and negotiate with him immediately and have meetings with him because, after all, he's a moderate. And here he comes out, and it's his movement, and it's his logo, and he says, no, really, I want all of it. And his predecessor, Arafat, said the same thing. But what we say in there is that some of our people simply aren't listening. We don't listen carefully to what the enemy is saying. Arafat said it. He said, I'm going to have a salami strategy. Negotiate for what I can get, slice away, and when I finish slicing, I'll use arms. And the same thing with Abu Mazen. And we have to shake our community. And you rightly said in your intro that there are members of our community who don't understand, who simply are fooled if a person wears a suit and tie, and then they're good guys, and the bad guys are the ones standing with the arms. But that's not true.
No.
They've learned how to manipulate and how to use propaganda in a most effective manner.
Well, Abu Mazen, to give it his other name, I mean, the man, as an academic, wrote a treatise which is effectively Holocaust denial.
Yes.
But now we say he's a moderate. Now, this idea of having all of Israel, some might argue, oh, it's merely a symbol. I mean, if they just had the West Bank, you wouldn't know what it was. It's a map, and so they say all of it. But I think it's far more significant than that. I don't actually think it's even about Jews being in the region. It's about non-Muslims being in the region.
Oh, yes. And I think that's also being lost sight of, that throughout the Middle East, the antagonism, the hostility, the actual raids on Christians goes on, the blowing up of churches, the rape of Christian women. It just bypasses the media. There is no interest in that. We have a fascination now that we like to cloud the issue. We're talking about moderates. Well, after all, the Muslim Brotherhood is now part of the ruling regime, and so we've got to deal carefully with it. Yesterday, it was revealed that in 2010, Morsi actually said that he believes there should never be a Jewish state, that it must be eradicated, and that it will become an Islamic state. This is the man who is now the head of Egypt.
There's a video, and he refers to Jews as being the descendants
of apes.
Of apes and pigs and so on. Just change the subject very slightly. A new report's come out from, much of it we can't see, obviously it's censored, but an intelligence report that says that many Islamic institutions in this country are radicalizing the people who go there and turning them into jihadists. So if someone goes to a Christian school or a Jewish school, you might not appreciate what they're learning, you might disagree with it, but they're coming out as good Canadians who have a particular religion. The allegation here is people are going to Muslim schools and they're learning condemnation and hatred for Canadian society and the embracing of jihadism and violent revolution.
Well, one of the things that we were promoting for a long time was fair funding, religious faith funding. And one of my reasons for that support was that we should have access to what is being taught in all the school systems. So that, yes, inspectors can come in. Yes, there has to be a curriculum that's approved. Yes, and unless we begin to take seriously what is happening under our nose, we will find that we will have more incidents of individuals who have adopted radical Islamic philosophies. And look, we have our friend Justin Trudeau, who participated in a conference. And when some of the literature that was given out there, and we have the book now, that deals with the issue of what is a good Muslim marriage. One of the things is that you can beat your wife, just don't leave marks.
That was given out.
Yes,
at the conference
that was a given out.
Justin spoke.
Yes, we have the book. It was purchased. You had to purchase it.
Have you sent this to him or to his people? Is he aware of this?
He still refuses to meet with us. He has avoided.
B'nai Brith is one of the two major Jewish organizations in Canada.
Correct.
Let's be quite candid. The Jewish community has always had a good, close relationship with the Liberal Party.
Yes.
Did have with his father. He's refusing to meet with the head of B'nai Brith.
Yes, he's refused to meet with us. He said he had no time, not even for a conference call. And we said, what are the optics of you going into that kind of a scenario, into you justifying this? Look at who some of the other speakers are. Look at who were some of the organizations sponsoring it initially. And quite frankly, we were a lone voice. And I must say that the general media decided to ignore it. You did not. The Sun media was right there on the
Thank
spot.
you, and some others, and there were some moderate Muslim groups and gay groups.
Yeah.
And others
Yes.
on your side. I'm still stunned by this. A man who wants to be Prime Minister of this country has said he refuses still to even find the time for a conference call to the head of B'nai Brith Canada. You know as well as I do, that's a bloody lie.
Of course it is. Of course it is. I think he's made it clear who he is appealing to in this country. And I think by extension, there will be an element within the Jewish community who have been liberals for a long time, who might be now return to the fold because of his charisma and because of his name. So I think he feels very secure and safe that he's going to be getting some Jewish backing, and I honestly feel that is going to happen.
It's so sad that he will. I mean, he assumed he was speaking to Canadian Muslims. He was speaking to radicalized Canadian Muslims. He wouldn't listen to any other Muslims in Canada.
Correct.
And now he won't. I mean, even if you say, look, the conference was then, leave a few days, New Year, but to say that he hasn't even got time for a conference call. He had time to speak to me for quite a few minutes. If you can speak to a non-entity like me.
No, you're not a non-entity. You're a powerful media person.
I just find this extraordinary. We must keep. Let me know if he changes his mind on this.
I will keep you posted.
That's just a great deal.
And we're not opposing him. We just want to educate him on what the situation is of radicalization in this country. And it's imperative that as a leader, as a future leader of a major party, he know what's happening on the ground.
Frank, when people said he shouldn't meet, he said, look, it's better to meet with people, even if you disagree with them, to meet with them. This is Canada, but he won't meet with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.